Hello and welcome to Settling Up with Go Cardless,
where we settle the score with payment leaders,
get their honest opinions, their hot takes, and no chargebacks.
The marriage of VRPs and open banking in general is just going to allow us to create more personalised, more transparent financial tools and products, and with embedded finance, put them all in a place that's most convenient for the end user. I think I have two in a drawer somewhere.
You're harbouring some, yeah.
I am.
You're not using them though.
I don't think I've ever written a cheque in my life. I don't think I have a signature. I think at the moment, even though people do use open banking, I don't think they realise they're using it, which kind of undermines the power of it slightly. So I think better people than me can figure out a better naming convention. All definitely decline. And the only person that leaves with voicemails is my mum. Payments are everywhere, and when they work, you don't really notice. But when they don't work, everything grinds to a halt.
Hello and welcome to Settling Up with Go Cardless, the podcast where we settle the score with leaders in payments, getting their honest opinions with hot takes and no chargebacks. For this episode, I'm joined by Clare Bennett, who is the Senior Product Manager at Capital on Tap. So welcome, Clare. Tell us a bit more about yourself and your background.
Thanks, Ellie. Yeah, I've spent almost a decade now working in FinTech and specifically working on financial products for small businesses.
So today we're going to be lifting the lid on VRPs, or variable recurring payments as they're known, what they mean for businesses today, how they're set to change the way we pay in the future, and learning from Clare's experience working on the payments frontline for around 10 years. So to kick things off and to break the ice a little bit, we're going to start with a game of approved, pending, declined. And it's our very own payments version, if you like, of yay or nay. So I'm going to give you a series of terms or ideas, and you have to say whether you give it one of the following. So either it's approved, it's got the green light, it's a great idea, full speed ahead. Maybe it's pending, it's kind of an amber light, it's a bit promising, it's not quite there yet. Or declined, it's got the red light, terrible idea, stop it immediately. So let's start with some industry trends and terms that you might have a view on here. So what about open banking as a term?
I think as a term, it's probably pending for me. I think we probably need something a little bit more user-friendly and maybe a little bit more descriptive so that people really understand the power of open banking, what it can do, where it can go. I think at the moment, even though people do use open banking, I don't think they realise they're using it, which kind of undermines the power of it slightly. So I think better people than me can figure out a better naming convention. But yeah, so currently pending for me. Okay,
so the next term for you is embedded finance. So is that approved, pending, or declined?
Approved. Yeah, I think embedded finance is already being used in many different places. People are probably using it and not realising. It's essentially putting tools right at the consumer's fingertips when they most need it. So if you're at checkout and you maybe need to put a purchase on credit, I think everyone's seen Klarna and different things like that. Or even if you're just in your Uber app and you want to split a fare, that's all being powered by embedded finance. So I think that's definitely something that's got the green light.
Okay, let's move on to the next term. And this is open banking as the future of payments in the UK. So Clare, in your view, approved, pending, or declined?
I think at the moment it's definitely pending for me. I think it's moving in the right direction, but it's certainly not mainstream and it has a little bit of a way to go. So kind of watch this space, I think.
Okay, Clare, a couple of personal approved, pending, declines for you, just so we can get to know you a little bit better. So people leaving voicemails, is that something you'd approve, pending, decline?
Oh, definitely decline. And the only person that leaves with voicemails is my mum. And whenever she does that, I'm like, oh my God, something has happened. She's like, no, just calling for a chat. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a generational thing.
It's definitely a boomer thing, yeah.
Okay. So that's a decline. What about getting to the airport as late as possible? Approved, pending, or declined?
Another decline. I'm a highly anxious human. I need to be there at least 2.5 hours in advance.
And surprise birthday parties, something I'm sensing from the look on your face, approved, pending, or declined?
Pending?
Okay.
Possibly. I don't think I've ever had one thrown for me before, possibly because I give off the air of not liking that prospect. Yeah. So pending. Until I have one, then I'd probably have a definitive declined answer.
And finally, spicy food, approved, pending or declined?
Oh, currently pending, actually. I'm actually on a journey trying to teach myself to like spicy food.
Okay.
It's going moderately well. Moderately spicy.
Moderately spicy, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I think we've got to know you a little bit better. So thank you, Claire, for playing approved, pending, declined. So, Claire, you've been at Capital on Tap now for nearly 10 years. You joined during the startup phase and you've seen the company through quite a bit of growth, really, transitioning Capital on Tap's core offering from a loan-based product to a scalable credit card program. So can you tell me a bit about that journey and why flexible and available cash flow is so crucial in helping the businesses that you work with?
Yeah, I think when I joined Cap on Tap, almost 10 years ago, we were a 40-person company, classic startup, super scrappy. Everything was very manual. But they had quite a clear mission. They wanted to help small businesses get access to the capital that they needed to grow. And at that time, getting access to credit was quite difficult for small businesses. They were quite an underserved market. And then throughout this sort of 10-year period, we've moved from weekly loans to monthly loans, then into credit cards, which is where I think our product offering really resonated with a lot of small businesses because we were offering them flexible credit and trying to offer it to them as quickly as possible. They didn't have to wait days for their application to go through to get access, to then wait 10 more days to get a card. We really wanted to make it as fast and seamless as possible. So now, today, a customer can apply to us, get a decision in seconds, and then get access to their credit in minutes through a virtual card or cash drawdowns. So that was really important to us then, and it's really important to us now. And I think with the new products that we're starting to onboard with, like the new savings product, that's still that kind of emphasis on speed and ease is really at the core of all the products that we try and all the features that we put out to our customers. Because for a small business, I think being able to manage their cash flow effectively and quickly and having access to flexible capital is so important for them just for the day-to-day running of their business.
In the intro, I mentioned that you're passionate about payments innovation. So can you tell me a bit about why you think payments innovation is so powerful for businesses and customers?
I think it's because payments are everywhere, and when they work, you don't really notice. But when they don't work, everything grinds to a halt. And especially for businesses, they touch every part of running a business, from getting paid to being able to pay people. You need to be able to consistently move money and move it quickly. And payment innovation is essentially just about how money moves. And innovating that space is about how do we reduce the cost? How do we make it faster? How do we improve the experience? How do we make it more convenient for customers and businesses alike? And that's why it's such an important space to be innovating in.
In your time at Capital on Tap, you've helped launch a number of products that have helped to really expand Capital on Tap's offering, right, for growing and scaling businesses, including integrated savings and credit card access. So tell me about this embedded approach to finance and why we're seeing more and more businesses kind of look to offering it.
I think embedded finance is about bringing kind of the financial tools that people need into one place or into the place where they need it most. So in the case of small businesses, they don't want to be juggling 3 or 4 different platforms or 3 or 4 different apps, like managing their expenses in one place and managing their invoices somewhere else and trying to find payments in their core banking platform. So it's like, how can you bring all those things together under one roof and make them work seamlessly together so that, again, you don't have to spend loads of time trying to reconcile your invoices or chase them or find your payments. It's all in one place. It's all really easy. And certainly for small businesses who don't necessarily, as we said, have a lot of time or have a big team of people to do this and to manage this, it's giving possibly just one person the tools that they need to run their entire sort of business financials from one place very, very quickly, allowing them a lot more time to go and do other things that they might prefer to be doing, like running their business. So I think that's certainly in a business sense, why embedded finance is so important. And then just like in the consumer space, it's just makes accessing finance or accessing financial tools just so much more convenient for people. Like we said, with BNPL at checkout, or just embedding payment options in apps like rideshare and stuff like that. It just makes people's lives more convenient. So why wouldn't we do it?
Yeah. And going back to that piece about small business owners, I mean, they've kind of set up their business, haven't they, to do whatever it is they love doing. And then they've kind of found they've got all this business admin to do, right? So these are the things that actually, like you say, they don't have a huge team behind them. They're normally like a one-man band or
one
two.
person who's trying to manage all of that, and they're potentially not an expert in that thing. They're an expert in the business that they want to be running. So how do you make it easy and intuitive and quick, so they don't have to be stressing about this kind of, all of this financial stuff?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so powerful.
Okay, so now let's move on to the main topic of the podcast, which is VRPs, or variable recurring payments. For those listening or watching this podcast who aren't familiar with this term and this payment method at all, Claire, can you explain what they are and a bit about how they work and how they can actually be used as it stands today?
Yeah, at a basic level, VRPs enable recurring payments with variable timeframes and varying amounts. So it's kind of like a more flexible, smarter version of direct debit, just with instant settlement. Right now, VRPs are mostly used for sweeping use cases. So that means moving money between accounts already owned by a consumer or by a business. I think on the consumer side, you may have noticed them if you were using a FinTech banking app and you were doing kind of like a pay-by-bank payment, and it asked you, do you want to make this payment recurring? That's using VRP. But a lot of people probably still haven't encountered VRP yet. It's not widely used, partly because it's limited to only these sweeping use cases.
I think that's a great explanation of VRPs, by the way. I couldn't have put it better myself. A really, really good way of explaining it for anyone that didn't know. I'm sure they've got a great idea of it now. But well, look, Claire, tell us a bit about how you're approaching VRPs then at Capital on Tap.
I think we're very excited about VRPs. Our core mission, obviously, is to help small businesses manage their cash flow. So introducing VRPs was or will be a natural next step to being able to do that. It gives us the ability to offer more flexible, faster repayment options, top-up options. It's going to give us the opportunity to allow our customers to build out smarter rules around how they make payments, where they move their money to, and they can really personalize their experience. So we're super excited about the introduction of VRPs.
So I guess then it's a bit early to talk about the impact that it's had on your business, but maybe you can explain a bit about what you're expecting a bit further down the line and how you're going to kind of make that experience a really good one for your customers.
Yeah, I think just in and of itself, introducing the rail is going to improve customer experience. By its very nature, it gives the customer full control over where the money is going, how much money they want to go there, and all their money movements will be instant. So at the moment, if we're using direct debit or card, they're prone to failure and they can be slow. Whereas with VRP, this will give them much more security and much faster access to their funds. And as I said, it gives us the ability to give them smarter options to repay and to manage their cash flow, whether that be like regular top-ups to their credit card or being able to preload their card. We allow our customers to preload their card for big purchases, so they can use both their credit and kind of a debit part of their card, so that they can make big purchases beyond their credit limit. And so we can allow them much smarter rules around when they want to do that and how they want to do that based on their cash flow.
So really putting the choice in their hands, I suppose, empowering them a bit more.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
And finally, then, I'm interested to hear a little bit about you're kind of on that implementation journey. What's that been like so far, and are there any learnings so far in that process?
Yeah, we're working with Go Cardless. It's been really great to collaborate on that. I think because VRPs are still very new and we're implementing them in the business space, there's definitely some teething issues around the sort of coverage of VRP, how many banks are currently allowing you to use them, sort of bank limits, how much money you're able to move. I think that there's definitely a way to go before this technology is or can be as ubiquitous as something like a direct debit. Mm-hmm. But we would be foolish not to kind of jump on that train and try and give our customers the best available options that we can. So I think there's definitely some challenges around giving our customers VRPs, but I think it's worth it to be able to give them the best products possible.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear, actually. And like you say, I guess it's a good opportunity to kind of implement and really actually kind of, you talked earlier about, and we talked a bit about that payments innovation, how much you're kind of passionate about that. Well, this is a great example, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a huge leap forward in terms of payment innovation, and the flexibility alone and the speed is awesome. And when you marry sort of open banking and the data you're able to access with open banking with instant payments, it's kind of the sky's the limit. You can dream up anything and build it on top of that, I think.
So let's come back to what you talked about earlier, really, which is that VRPs are only available in sweeping use cases at the moment. But looking ahead, the rollout of commercial VRPs is going to come hopefully later this year. I think it looks likely that it will be around autumn at the earliest, and that will see it become available for what has been identified as Wave 1 industries. So Claire, what do you think this will mean for open banking adoption and acceleration then?
I think the move beyond sweeping into commercial VRPs is going to be a major step forward for open banking in general, but certainly for payments within open banking. For it to hit mass adoption, I think it needs to be used more prevalently in everyday use cases. So bill payments, subscriptions will be a big one, utility payments or usage-based billing. It's giving flexibility to companies to be able to vary the amount of money they're going to be taking from customers for various different things. But that also means that customers can benefit from more flexible payment options. Certainly with billing, or if you look at your utilities bills and you're using different amounts of energy, for example, it means that they can take different varying payments on varying cycles. You might be able to pay more regularly, but smaller amounts. And VRP gives you the option to be able to do that because it's instant. You can pick any frequency you like. It doesn't just have to be like a monthly basis or a weekly basis. So I think that's where it starts to become more interesting. And when they do start to use it, it does start to be more mainstream. We'll start to get more real-time user feedback, and there'll be more people using it. There'll be more people talking about it and talking about what's great about it, what's not so great about it. And there'll be, again, more space to kind of iterate and innovate on those use cases.
Yeah, like you say, I guess once it's out there in the market, you get that real-time feedback.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of build on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now I'd like to play a quick game of higher or lower, which I'm excited about. If you're too young, you don't remember the original game show, I'm going to ask you a number-related question, and then you have to give me the answer, and then the one that follows, you have to guess whether it's higher or lower. Yeah, I'm sure you get the gist. Okay, let's go with your first higher or lower stat then. And we're going to talk about kind of payment schemes for this one. So Pix, which is Brazil's instant payment scheme, and it launched in November 2020, so fairly recently, but it's seen phenomenal growth. So by December 2024, Pix had processed over 6 billion transactions monthly. Is that higher or lower than the total number of contactless payments made in the UK in 2023?
I'm going to go with lower. Because contactless payments have been around since the early 2010s, I think. So I feel like it's definitely ramped to a volume where it would probably exceed Pix at this point in time, just because contactless is ubiquitous. I think since TfL made it so easy to move around the network, just tapping your card. I don't remember the last time I didn't use contactless, actually.
Yeah, same. I mean, that was the killer use case, really. And you're right, it is lower. So contactless payments totaled 18.3 billion in the UK in 2023. Yeah, that's a lot of contactless payments.
There's a lot of contactless payments.
Okay, so your next higher or lower question then. So the stat is that 31% of B2B payments are still collected via cheque, which is quite a high percentage, actually, I think. Is that higher or lower than the percentage of payments made using Buy Now, Pay Later in the UK in 2023?
Lower.
It's actually higher. The percentage of BNPL payments made using BNPL in the UK was 14%. Yeah, that's quite surprising.
Yeah.
I think we think the BNPL market
bigger than
is
it
bigger
possibly
than
than
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah. And also, I just assumed that people had kind of lost their checkbooks now, that they didn't exist anymore.
Yes, I think I have two in a drawer somewhere.
Oh, you're harbouring some, yeah.
I am.
You're not using them, though.
I don't think I've ever written a check in my life. I don't think I have a signature. It's probably a bad thing to admit.
That's probably, yeah.
I mean, I do have a signature, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Claire. We've covered quite a lot of ground during this episode in terms of talking about VRPs, the commercial rollout, and how you're approaching VRPs, of course, at Capital on Tap, some of the benefits that businesses can look forward to experiencing, hopefully. And I think it's safe to say there are some super exciting developments in the world of open banking in this space that are really going to make the way we pay and get paid easier and smarter and faster, right? So before I finish up this episode, though, I do want to play not a game exactly, but get your predictions, if you like, on the payments landscape of the future. So I'm going to give you some future ideas, trends, that kind of thing, and then I'd like you to tell me whether they're forecast or fiction. So first up, will cash exist in 2050 in the UK?
I don't think that's a forecast or a fiction. I think that's just a fact. I think cash will definitely still exist in 2050. It might be not used as much and not as much in circulation, but much like checkbooks, they're still around, they still exist, people still use them. And I think it will be the same for cash, especially with everything going digital and everything going online. You need something to fall back on. You need some resilience in case there's an outage. And there's some people who just trust cash more than they trust more digital payment methods. So I think cash will always be around, just used a little bit less than it is today.
Yeah. I mean, you do still get people literally stashing cash under their mattresses, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been walking around with £10 in my wallet for like 5 years. I've never spent it, but it's there in case I need it.
A safety net.
It is a safety net, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great. My next question then is, will cryptocurrency go mainstream in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, I think this is a tricky one. I would say maybe, yes, this is kind of a forecast, but also a little bit of a fiction. I think in its current form, it's quite volatile. It's not regulated. There's, again, a lack of kind of consumer protections. I think elements of it probably will carry forward, like stablecoin, for example. There's lots of people innovating in the crypto space, the use of blockchains for different things. So I think elements of it will definitely go mainstream, but maybe not the way it looks today.
And then finally, will open banking and VRPs replace direct debit eventually?
Forecast, yes, but not overnight. I think, as we've sort of said in this podcast, it's got a way to go before it's there. And direct debit is currently deeply embedded in many kind of different tools and financial tools. So I think, yes, it will, not today, but definitely in the future.
Yeah, and it does take a while, doesn't it, to build familiarity and for people to trust that a payment method will work and that they can rely on it. I mean, we were talking about contactless earlier, but that actually took a while to get to the stage it's at now, where it is ubiquitous, right?
Yeah, I think we found out that the first contactless payment was in 2007, which we were like, what? I did not know it existed then. So I think, it will take some time for people to become familiar and to trust it, and to start using it more and more.
Well, thank you, Claire, for coming on to settle things up.
No, thank you for having me.
And thanks also to everyone for listening as well to the podcast and watching on YouTube as well. You can look out for all new episodes of Settling Up with Go Cardless, both on Spotify and on YouTube. And until next time, I hope that settles things.